Welcome to Raw and Real Heart to Heart Conversations. I am Marjorie Chapman, head coach, founder of Big Bold Love, and I'm talking to Dawn Farley. We have been talking every week since the pandemic started, and it has changed our lives. So we wanted to offer that to everybody else. So we just record, no plans, no script.
No agenda, no production. Nope.
We just are. So here we are.
We're being butterflies, just flittering around and yep.
So I think that works better.
Yeah.
The whole glass is changing.
I know, right? I was saying when we got on the call, I'm like, oh, you're outside again. I'm like, I can almost smell the fresh air, and I just want to like zip over there and just sit right across from you and just, sit out in the sun and have like what was it like ladies drank back in the day when they would have like afternoon tea. It was like a not a toddy, be like some fancy lemon something or other, not necessarily alcoholic, but they would have some like bright little drink that they would drink like back in the 50s. Oh no,
I have no idea, but I trust that there was one.
Yeah, little cucumber sandwiches. So where are you in your backyard?
I am in my front yard.
Your front yard. Got it. Wow. What a sight. I love it.
Yep. Yeah, we put in a patio and a bigger front deck. Or like, front stoop. I don't know what you want to call it. It's a deck. It's a little deck. A couple of years ago, that was my project for my last quarter. It's a little overgrown right now because we just keep having rain and rain and rain and rain. So. But and then our umbrella broke, so I found this other one that I have over me because we talked earlier last week, so the sun was still behind the trees, but it's of course high noon now. So
yeah, and wow, that rooster back there is pretty insistent. It's our
neighbors
all day.
Yeah, our neighbors have chickens and ducks, and I don't even know what all they have over there. I think they sell their eggs, but I'm not sure. We've been here 7 years. We've never really met them.
Yeah,
that's the thing about living out.
That in the background. Yeah,
exactly. I'm waiting for the dogs to, look out the front door and, start barking too, but they seem to be comfy on the couch. So.
Yep.
But yeah, I like to be out here, when it's usable. Of course, in South Carolina, it's too hot, at least for me, most of the time. It's getting there today. So I, just like last week, I figured I would use the being outside and ground myself. My face looks really red. Oh, look, I can change the color of my face.
Look at that.
So
blue does really well to counteract it warmth. Anyway, just saying. Yeah.
Well, apparently the red is the one that wants to stay over there, though.
Let's roll with it.
So, COVID free.
Yes, thank God.
Yay. Since that's how we were left last week. Oh, speaking of last week. So this week I asked Dave, since last week we were talking about how, should have brought water out, how sometimes what we talk about is kind of time sensitive, and that waiting a whole week, and he's been doing the production Thursday nights anyway. So if it works for you, we were thinking we would release last week's and this week's tomorrow on Friday.
Sure.
The 14th. and then we'll be much more current. So, whatever we record will be uploaded at midnight. So cool. I think that makes more sense.
Sure.
Because we have one one that I know of, one loyal listener. And she commented that, oh, well, and last week's, and I was like, remind me what we talked about, because, we had already recorded another one. So I think that'll be awesome.
Yeah, really great.
Especially with what everything's happening, this week. I don't know if you're affected by the gas shortage at all and things like that. I was thinking, well, if we talk about things like that today, they're
might not be relevant next week, right?
They're old news exactly by next week. So,
yeah.
Yay to our producer, my fabulous husband.
Go, fabulous husband. Love you, love you.
Exactly. So.
Perfect.
So, how are things going?
So me getting the negative diagnosis was huge, because it was right there on my mind that, like, did I bring that to them? And so that took that off, and we don't know what's at the source of them getting COVID. There's not been any trace or anything done. Nobody said anything, so who knows. And mom is recovering slowly. It takes everything she has to be on the phone with me for 5 minutes, even 10 days later. And we've got some things to manage. She's not able to pay her bills right now because it takes everything out of her to just gather them together, right? And she doesn't do anything online. She's not, that's not her deal. And dad had a rough week. Dad chose to have a rough week. I'm going to say it that way. Dad chose to have a rough week. And what I mean by that is that, resisting what's so. And what so is he has COVID, and the only place that he can be is, a specific rehab that's 2 hours away from everything that he knows, that has him be solitary. And, and I think the best I can figure is I think he had like COVID mouth, meaning like everything he ate tasted like what he said was dog food.
That's
and
rough.
Yeah, what the nurses said is that, they've heard numerous people talking about that everything tastes like it has been boiled in broccoli water. Right.
So broccoli water sounds much better to me than dog food.
Yeah, but you could get how, like, between So he wasn't eating, and he was angry. I mean, straight up angry. And I was bearing the brunt of all that. And he was, whenever I would speak to him, he would cuss me. And, I'm going to take it as a compliment that he really thought that it was under my control and that I had some sort of power over any of this. It was, damn you, call an ambulance to come get me and bring me home. And I'm like, I mean, I can't, right? So that really took something for me to disconnect from.
Way to create an empowering context as much as you possibly could.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's an ongoing thing. I'm sure it's a moment by moment, second by second.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to one, I was speaking with somebody who's powerful in our personal development work, and she was like, that's just the illness speaking. It's just the illness speaking. And I went, no, actually, this is kind of like when you're drunk and all your inhibitions are gone and you let it rip. This is authentic. This is that. This is that. This is him saying completely unleashed and saying exactly what's there for him. And, he said these things to me before, historically as a youth. And so it was triggering. And, and at first it was, all the tears and like, I can't help, and there's nothing I can do, and feeling helpless and feeling, he's right. And I am whatever it is that he's saying that I am. And then choosing to take it on as an opportunity to actually see when that occurred. When did I take on that I'm stupid? When did I take on that that I'm not listening? When did I, all the horrible things that he was saying? And so it's like, oh, well, hang on. I remember when he said this to me when I was 12 years old, and I've been living my life into that story. I took it on. So, I mean, it took something. It's not like I just,
12-year-old is listening to him. And the other thing too is, I wonder how old he is in the upset, right? Because upsets are always from the past. So like, his little kid and your little kid Or duking it out.
And because of I think it went to teenager, right? Because, a kid wouldn't cuss,
Right.
right? Like a little kid wouldn't cuss. They don't have that language to cuss. And he was cussing up a storm. I mean, he was like a truck driver. And, he cusses a little bit, but he's not usually that, blatant about it. So I think it went to teenager. And then he devolved into little kid. I mean, like little kid, like, fine, I won't drink and I won't eat. I'm just going to lay here and die. And it's all your
hold
fault.
my breath until you say yes. That kind of little kid, right?
And the nurses called me panicking. I mean, everybody was calling me panicking, like freaking out. Like, he has stopped drinking for 48 hours. He is so dehydrated. He's not thinking straight. He's like it, they were really concerned. And of course I was too. I mean, it wasn't like I wasn't concerned. And I could see it for what it was. I could see him being a brat, really just like, ma'am, I want to come home. And I just told the nurses, and I'm like, guys, it's okay. He's going to be okay. Just keep giving him love, keep ignoring it, and like, keep giving him lots of love. And I'm not going to call there right now, because right now I'm triggering. And I had his sister call, and I had their doctor call, right? And, people that he loved and he trusted, and so that he knew he wasn't alone. And, he woke up one morning, and one of the nurses is really sweet. I mean, she is like, she told him she's giving him a bath because he was refusing a bath. And she told him she's feeding him, and he drank some lemonade, and he ate a little bit of a tuna sandwich. And that was the turning point. And he really started to get empowered. And then he called me yesterday just apologizing and like, thank you for putting up with me, and thank you for being understanding. And, I know how awful I've been, and, all that. And I was like, oh, thank God. Like, I didn't, go off the deep end. Right. I just stayed present to it. And
You parented
here's
your
a
parent.
second piece. Yeah. Well, yeah. We did a program that really addressed team and teamwork. And, I know all the information, and have I ever really reached out and allowed people to contribute to me? That was really the conversation, really allowed people to contribute to me. And it got to a point where I had no choice, right? My mom needed food, and there was no way to get her any food. And so I reached out, and my dad needed stuff at the where he's at. And I started reaching out to people that I knew in that area. And man, did people show up. I mean, show up.
Nice.
One person went to my mom's and got stuff for my dad and took $20 and put it in a box and shipped it up there so that he would have some clothes and $20 in his pocket. So he felt like he had a little power. And went to the grocery store for my mom, and even brought her flowers on Mother's Day for me.
Aww.
And then there's people that live in the town that he lives in that live 10 minutes away, and brought him Chick-fil-A and fruit salad. And he has been over the moon with the fruit salad. And he's like, please bring me more. And she has brought him something to eat every day.
Oh.
And he feels loved and cared for, and like he matters. And yeah, and he's fighting. He's like, yep, this is what I need to do to get home. Okay, let's keep going. Great.
I kind of hear the stages of grief, right? Like he went through them all and got to acceptance.
Yeah. And now he's looking to make a difference.
Yeah.
He's actually got a possibility to live into, which is coming home.
Nice.
At least back to the area. I'm going up tomorrow, or Saturday rather. I've already skipped over Friday. How funny. There's something there. But so I'm going up on Saturday afternoon because I need to gather whatever I can get my hands on to start the Medicaid application process. And there's a lot of information needed. And like I said, my mom is not, and she really doesn't like people rifling through her stuff. It's not like it's private. She just, she's a little OCD. She just doesn't like stuff to be disturbed. So, we'll get there when we get there. But yeah. So, and she's so lonely.
I'm
So I'm
sure.
really excited to go up there on Saturday and, spend some time with her and get her a shower and change her sheets and, just really, so.
And they, at this point, then she's no longer contagious or not as contagious. I mean, is that the thinking?
Well, the quarantine period is over. And as I understand it, once that quarantine period is over, you have your antibodies. They start to kick in. I got my vaccination on Tuesday, my second dose on Tuesday, and then I think it's like 10 days maybe after that you're completely. But I have the Moderna, and they say, yeah, but they say the Moderna, like even after the first shot, you're like 80% vaccinated. But yeah, I'm not clear, but I'll be wearing a mask. So either way, we'll both be wearing masks, and we'll stay apart.
I think the idea. I mean, when my son had it, they said that you're most contagious 48 hours before symptoms start. And so I think it's kind of like it spikes and then it gradually goes down. So, even if she still has, contagiousness, it's going to be much less than, it was 2 days before she
and, if we do all the precautions and we wear the mask and we stay 6 feet apart and we, I'm going to open all the doors and windows and put, No,
I think you should be fine.
Yeah.
And how good for her to have you there. And, even if you're just sitting there with the things and just showing her, like she has input, but she's not actually having to do it. And that'll give her a sense of accomplishment and power too, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I'm really, taking it day by day, and I'm in awe of who I've been being around it. So who I know myself to be, for people who are listening, who I know myself to be is drama, is overreacting, is stay in action. Don't really think about it or feel anything about it. Just do. And overreact and like, oh my God, this is the worst thing in the world. And right, like, oh. And it's really been like, the next thing to do, and staying present in the current moment, and like not, oh my God, what are we going to do? Well, not what are we going to do? What is there to do right now? And right now, what is there to do is let's try to get him some food. Okay, great. How can I get him some food? And take that action and be in communication with people who are in the area. That's and beautiful. Then, right, like it's just been like, okay, we need to get on Medicaid. Okay, how can we? What's the next thing to do there? I reached out to their insurance guy and I was like, are you able to help in this process? And he said, no, but here's the information that you need. Okay, great. Just next thing. And, will I have gas to go, because we've got that gas shortage right now. Will I have gas to go up there on Saturday? Well, there's gas stations that are starting to get gas again today. Okay, great. And if I can't go up on Saturday because I can't find gas, I can't go up there on Saturday because I can't find gas. It's not the end of the world. Yeah. There's a sense of peace.
Yeah.
That has not been there before. Ever.
Yeah, you're oftentimes your energy has been like frantic, almost like just kind of, I remember learning in chemistry class, right? That the difference between a solid, a liquid, and a gas is how fast the whatever, I don't know, electrons or whatever are moving, right? And that it's a solid because they compact, right? They're slower, so they're all closer together. So it's a solid, and then a gas is, wider apart because they're moving so much. And you've been gas, right? Like you've been that kind of energy, and now like just my sense of you is just a groundedness and a sureness and a confidence that I haven't seen in you in the past.
Yeah, and there is something that I want to share that I've gotten really present to, and I don't know if it'll resonate. And maybe if anybody has ever had this experience, they would share with us. But I actually can have the experience. Like right now, I am heart centered. Like this, I am grounded and heart centered. And even being in communication with all my actions, I'm heart centered. And I can literally feel myself crawl into my head and start to, that's when the frantic shows up. That's when the spaz shows up. That's when, all the action and all that energy shows up. And I can feel myself crawl into my head. And it's almost like I go hide in there because that's how I know, don't be in your heart. It's going to hurt. Like, this is bad, it's scary, right? And, go jump into your head because you can take actions and you can, protect yourself and you can, right? And I can actually feel it most of the time when I go there. And then It's almost like come on back down, sweetie. Like, just talk to that crazy balloon. Come on, come hang out down here with me. It's all good. Stay in your heart. Yeah. So it's been, and I cry at the drop of a hat now. I'm moved by everything.
You and I have had a similar week. Yeah.
So,
I remember when I was considering leaving my first husband, and I'd be in my head and it would be all about the kids, all about this, what ifs, maybe I could make it work, all that. But then when I got still, and I see now, like I didn't have any of this understanding then, but when I really just got still, the answer was always the same. And the answer was always, there was always this calm, this confidence, you got this. You're actually doing this for your children because your children deserve a mother who's happy. Even if, parents are not together, that will go farther with them. And it was a couple times of that. And I was like, okay, this answer is always the same. And it always felt good. And, I've been being a resource for a young lady who recently, is going through a breakup and is not going through a breakup because she doesn't love him anymore, but because she is looking ahead and looking at her future and looking at that she spent her entire high school life with somebody long term, like since middle school, two different guys, and she wants the experience of being on her own and knowing herself. And I can hear her doing that dance. And I just keep telling her,
way to go. How old is she?
18. Just turned.
Wow.
Right? Like getting ready to graduate from high school. Yeah, and I think that's part of the problem, right? Her young man is acting very stereotypical for a 17, almost 18-year-old. She, however, is ahead of the game for her age. And so that's causing an even bigger gap because boys develop slower anyway, right? Like the whole world of that at 17 and 18,
Yep.
And, but it's been so nice to be able to just remind her, you don't have to have it all figured out. Like people keep talking to graduating seniors like they have to have the rest of their life figured out. They've been on the planet for 18 years and they're going to be on the planet for at least 80, hopefully. Like, come on. And so I just keep reminding her, like, whatever you want to do next is the perfect thing. Like, this is your opportunity. You don't have to have anything figured out. And we've only been communicating over text, but I can even feel her energy settle. I can, she'll respond and say something like, okay, that's what I was thinking too, but everybody else keeps saying this. And so then I was, worrying about it. It's like, no, like you have the best answers for you. Always. You have the best answers for you. You're the only one who has the best answers for you. And, so many
I mean,
times
you can see where the so many times.
I was just going to say, so many times I would start a text back with my opinion, right? And it's like, no, like dial it back. How can I be of support, right? How can I validate her listening to her? And,
Yeah.
if when she has gotten whatever she is out to get, if he's still available and she's still interested, great. And if not, they've both had an experience with each other, and that will be, they'll be each other's first loves. And, I'm a little vested since it's the young man is somebody close to me. And because, I care about her too and her future. And so,
right.
But it's been fun to be able to support her in finding, well, she had her wings, but like in stretching her wings, in, whatever you want to do, go do it. Like, this is it.
Putting some air under them.
Life is now. Exactly.
Putting some air under them.
And being able to counter some of the adult message that kids this age get. Because there's so much pressure.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's pressure, but the other thing that I was hearing that and I apologize for interrupting earlier, it was right there for me, like, as an adult, as somebody who has gone through it, as somebody who could look back and have regrets and, I wish I would have, we want more for the people that are coming up behind us. Like, we want them, we want the mistakes that we made, that we see, to actually like contribute to somebody else, right? Like, we think we see the future because, that's what happened to us. We want to be able to have better for them. And if our mistakes can prevent them from pain, or, going down the wrong road, or wasting time, or any of those things, we want that for them. And we think that that's our job as adults who've been through it, quote unquote. We want to impart our wisdom, and what I probably most regret is not listening to my heart and doing what I actually felt worked for me.
Yeah.
And that I would wonder, what would other adults say if they were to say what it is that they regret, if they really got down to it. I didn't listen to my dad when he said blah de blah, or I didn't listen to my mom when she said blah de blah, don't go that way. No. It was probably I didn't listen to myself.
Yeah.
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 That's awesome. What a blessing.
Yeah, it's been nice to be able to contribute. And, she's going places. And, it's his choice. It's his choice right now, whether he steps it up or lets her go. That's kind of how I see it. So.
Yeah.
And not my circus, not my monkeys.
Nope. And you can be a contribution inside of it all.
Exactly.
Be that listening and be that clearing. So what, is there, any, movement, I should say, in, last week you shared that, your daughter, heard some things that you weren't prepared to tell her face to face. She heard it third party. And
well, she heard it straight from me, and just unintentionally.
Right, but, yes, unintentionally third party-ish. Yeah. Yeah, that.
Yeah. I mean, she had her birthday this weekend, so we were focused on that. Her boyfriend did come down, but we didn't actually, talk about it much. But the fact that he backed me up, really made a difference. He and I texted briefly, and he said, I was kind of glad that I could just jump on the bandwagon and say, yes, I agree, instead of actually broaching the subject myself. I haven't seen much of her this week. She the past 2 nights she's been at a friend's house. The first night was because I had no gas to go get her. I didn't realize all this panic buying was about to happen. And the frustrating thing was that I was planning on stopping on the way home from dropping her off at school. And speaking of first loves, my first boyfriend and I, when I was 15 and he was 17, he and I are still in touch. And so he called just as I was dropping her off. And so then I was talking to him on autopilot, driving home. I got most of the way home. And for anybody who doesn't know where I live way out in the country, as you can guess by the noises around me. And so, the nearest gas station, the one I was going to stop at is, 30 minutes away. And that's, Costco. And by the time I realized, I was still talking to him all the way home. And so I was like, I'll just get gas when I go pick her up. By then, all the tanks were empty and I couldn't. So I contacted her friend's mother and I said, is there any way she could spend the night? Like trying to figure out how to get her. But my ex-husband lives right down the street and he was able to get gas that night. What was that, Tuesday night? And so he told me, and it is a station, 10 minutes away. So Dave and I hopped in the van and drove up there with our 1/8 of a tank. And by the time we got there, they were out. And so then I'm driving back even more worried, right? Like now I have that much less gas. But, talking about, we have a gallon for the mower. We have, like trying to piece together where we're going to get gas and how I'm going to get my kid home. But, there was a security also in her being there because that mom had a full tank and lives close to school and she's got exams this week. And so that way she's just taken care of.
Perfect.
And yeah, so I haven't seen her. I'll be picking her up right after this.
And what an opportunity to really, get some space about it, not jump on it and try to resolve it right out of the gate and really just sit with it and be with it and allow it to process and versus, oh my God, there's something wrong here and fix it.
Well, at that point, really where I am about it all is grateful. Yeah. It's not that I would have said what I said the way I said it to her. Because at one point in my email, I said, what I want to say as a parent is suck it up. You need to learn how to live with this. This is what life looks like. I said, but I'm not that parent who's going to tell my kid to suck it up. Well, apparently I am. Oops.
I mean.
And the nice thing is, we see now, that we're 10 days out from this gaffe. We both, Dave and I really see that we had been tiptoeing around a lot. And that at least some of that tiptoeing probably was, I don't want to say enabling, but definitely not empowering. Right? Like she's very sensitive. So she knew that we were holding stuff back. She knew that, human beings in general, we know more, verbal communication. What I heard a statistic once that it's 9% of communication.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like that's part of why we do this on video is, because physical is so much more in many ways. And then you throw in the ways that we don't even really have words around, the energetic communication. And she's very, very tuned into that. And so,
oh yeah,
I don't know if she would say that she's relieved, but I am. To me, it's almost like I've been lying to my daughter and I don't want to, not that I have, but I have, she's asked, she's apologized. And it is, it's withholding, Yes, she is a financial burden right now. Yes, she is an emotional burden right now, And I said, both of those things in the email. And she's like, one of the things she said to me was, I've asked you if I'm a burden, why didn't you say that? I said, because who's going to say that to their daughter? Yes, you're a burden. And, as one of my other advisors says, she needs to know. She needs to know the impact. Yep. She needs to get the severity of it. So, and then I think I told you about the breathing thing, right? The last thing that we went to the emergency room for with her. So she did it again with the boyfriend in the car when we went to pick him up on the way home, but she fell asleep and she was doing it in her sleep. Like it started while she was asleep, which to me is even weirder. And so I have no idea. Wow. Luckily, when we went to the ER, they prescribed these pills that, I don't know, relax the lungs or something. It's like a Benadryl kind of med specifically for the lungs. And so I gave her one when we got home, but I had him video her. I need to get that video from him so I can send it to the doctor, but
there's like a subconscious, because that's what we do when we're sleeping, right? It's like we process things subconsciously that, are out there in the life. And it seems like, there she went into REM sleep and she started to process whatever it is she's got going on.
Yeah. And I had just snapped at her. She was kind of hyperactive. We had just picked him up. He was coming over for her birthday. He gave her a hat. She was wearing the hat. It was super, super cute, like perfect for her. This hat was just such a great gift. And she's like, do you have any other gifts for me? And he's like, not now. And so then she was bugging him. She's like, but it's my birthday, but give me the gifts now. And finally I was just like, listen, they're not yours yet. Like he said, he doesn't want to give it to you now, knock it off. And, which is the most that I ever snap, and almost immediately after that, she was in that like high, like almost like hyperactive energy. And then almost immediately she was asleep.
Oh, I wonder if she's not creating like a narcolepsy.
I really hope not. But then, then the breathing thing started after that. So really, really weird. I don't know enough about the body. I know just a touch about the brain. But to me, all of this is I don't want to say psychosomatic because that has negative connotations, but that it's all.
But it's her thoughts creating her physical.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
These are her coping mechanisms. These are the things that her amygdala is creating to have her cope and survive. They're all like amygdala hijacks. Like it just, okay, you don't know what to do with all these emotions. Great. Go to sleep. We'll process them while you're asleep. Right. Go to sleep. That's all we got for you right now is go to sleep because we don't know what to do with any of this.
Yeah. And, like she and I are so tight, that I hardly ever am short with her like that. So yeah, it's really very strange.
Yeah.
So I definitely would like to look for somebody who has, and I don't even know how to, what to put into the Google search, right? Like, but
I'm going to send you the name of somebody to maybe at least get started in this conversation. And it's, you may know her. I'm not sure if you know her or not, but her life's work has been to deal with neurodiverse people, children specifically, children, young adults, teens, things like that, to, just create, and it doesn't even it has to be diagnosed, right? Like, it's just having the neurodiverse young adults and teens have an opportunity to be in conversation about what's up. Cool. And be given tools and skills to manage whatever's there. So, this person might be able to just give you some, resources and things like that.
Yeah, because right now I hate to cut off this therapist, to fire her, so to speak. But at the same time,
this doesn't feel like this is it, right?
Right. Yeah. I haven't even read her email back to me. But it started with something like, well, as I told you during intake, I always include my clients, so it was, there wasn't even any kind of taking responsibility for the fact that I inadvertently sent it to my daughter. There was no taking responsibility. And, yes, 100% my responsibility too. Like, I absolutely assumed that I was only sending it to the two people that I thought I was sending it to. But,
right.
It would have been nice
to just step over it. Yeah.
I would have felt like there was some partnership with her if she had written back and said, yes, as I told you during intake, I always include my clients. And I see that I could have, mentioned that when I put her in my last email, right? Something like that would have just allowed for some connection between her and I. But I almost feel like she's championing my daughter against me.
To grow trust. And, because I could see that would be typical for a teenager, right? Is like, a teenager would stop trusting their parent. And,
right.
And if you could commiserate with the teen and get the teen on quote unquote your side, then the teen would be able to really trust you, and then she could get her job done better.
Maybe.
Right. I could see, that be common.
We don't have a typical teen mother relationship, like she sometimes refers to me as, one of her best friends. And, yes, there's a fine line there sometimes between friend and parent. And I think we navigate it, very well where, yes, I am still the parent, and yes, she is still my child, and she tells me everything.
Right.
And that's not typical for a 15-year-old girl or any. 15.
No, and I remember, my mom and I had a very sister-like relationship. It was, she was my best friend, and I did tell her everything. And then there got to be a time where I didn't want her to know everything.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted her to be my mom and just my mom. And I, like some autonomy started to show up, and it was just like, and it was hard for my mom. I really remember it being hard for my mom to be like, what happened? You used to tell me everything. We used to be really close. And it, and it was really more about me getting my autonomy than it was about dismissing my mom,
Yeah.
But it was really hard for her to be with. And I remember having that time, and we really, and it was probably from, I would say 16, 17 years old, is when a lot of that really started, was, me separating and starting to stand on my own.
Which is necessary. What somebody once told me was that teenage years are going from parenting to consultant, like from parent to consultant. And I thought, that's really, that's a beautiful way to put it. Right. It is a little more of a, well, what do you think you should do? A little more of a, what could you do in this situation, instead of telling your child what to do? And, I've almost always parented that way anyway. But, what I noticed with my son, for example, as he's trying to get his last assignment turned in, I'm 95% sure when I walked out of my room the other day, he was working at the table, and I'm 95% sure he switched from a game to his project as he saw me coming. Right. And I'm like, he graduates next week. This is the time to, stop giving a shit about whether or not you're going to get in trouble from mom, right? Like, it's no longer appropriate for him at this age to have that concern, right? So, but it was just interesting to notice. It was like, okay. And, part of it was, well, I guess I still have a little more influence than I thought I did.
Well, and you even said it earlier, they mature at, the rate that they mature, which is different than females, right? So for him, you're still mom and he's still, I'm going to get in trouble.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's been a week. We also found out that somebody very close to us has terminal cancer this week. So it's and then Dave's contract ends tomorrow, and at this point he does not have the next thing lined up. He does have an interview tomorrow, but
right. But that job he was really looking forward to
has been filled. He found out yesterday.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
And what's the status of Hamburg?
Well, we're still going ahead.
Yeah.
We've decided that, what the universe is providing is an opportunity to just trust and allow and, keep our eye on the future that we're creating. And so we have, did I tell you, we looked at it last Friday, so maybe not. There's a house that we found that we really like. It's got a ton of potential, but it also needs some love. But it's like weekend warrior kind of love. It's not like immediate love.
Like contractor.
Right. Yeah. And not like contractor. Now, our realtor is also a contractor. And so for him, he looks at it and he says, before you sell, you're going to need to do a kitchen remodel and 2 bathroom remodels. And that's just a lot of work. And you don't want to do that. And I'm like, who says we need to? Right. Like, yeah, the 1 bathroom has like rose colored fixtures, like deep pink, the tub, the
80s,
toilet.
Classic 80s.
It is. It's an 89 house. Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
So, but we can do the sinks ourselves. We can do the toilet ourselves. We probably don't want to do the bathtub ourselves, but, okay, big deal. And, it's a young enough house that it doesn't need a complete overhaul. But it's got like exposed wood on the inside that I love. But somebody came and painted the white around the wood and didn't tape off the wood. So all of the wood has white paint on it. And I think they must have a large dog who chews on doorknobs. So as soon as you walk in the door, you shut the door and the doorknob's all mangled and the locking mechanism is all mangled. So stupid little things like that.
And that, they're like, $15 to replace.
Right. It's like, why wouldn't you do this? Like, hello. Have you heard
right. I mean, all the
impressions?
work that you did to, to upgrade your house when you sold it, it was like, you mean I could have just left that there and I didn't actually have to put like door stoppers on the doors? Wait a minute. And they, it just.
I mean, we left it move-in ready for the most part.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. This house has been on the market for 60 days. And so unlike everything else that's getting snapped up, there's, it's not getting snapped up. And I think that's why. I think people see enough work there. There's not enough work for a flipper, but there's too much work for most people who are looking.
Your average, right.
And we have the skills between the two of us, or know people who have the skills. I mean, we having just gotten this house ready to sell and having sold it recently, we can look at it and say, no problem. Like that's easy. But it's got some great features.
Big deal.
Right. There's an outdoor kitchen area with a built-in grill already, and but then holes, right? So we would then want to put in the sink and a counter or whatever might go in out there, but the framing's all done. I don't know if it's plumbed or not, but it's probably easy enough to plumb it because there's also a hot tub right next to it. So things like that. They put a bar in downstairs in the basement.
Hot tub, yay, look, it's calling me.
And we put that in the contract too, that the hot tub stays. And the basement, they put in this fancy floor, but they were doing it themselves. And so they I don't know, ran out of wood or something. So it's not quite finished. They put in a bar downstairs. There's 3 living areas, 2 upstairs and 1 downstairs. And the one upstairs is right off the front door, and the office space is attached to it. So that could be my entire office suite.
Yeah.
You know, I can have an office and run workshops out of my house, and it doesn't take away
Oh my God.
Right? Like there's just so many opportunities. So we put an offer in, they countered. We put an offer in at 35,000 below asking. They countered at 15 below asking, and that was a few days ago. So we haven't taken any more action yet, but you know, more houses have come on the market, but Dave and I both look at this house and we're like, but it's got so much potential. It's already fenced. It's a 1/4 of an acre. You know, it's in a really nice, like stereotypical suburban neighborhood kind of thing. But it's right across the street from, like, it's as close to the village without being in the village as you can get. And
oh, nice.
And it'll be even closer than some of the houses we've looked at in the village. To the high school, to the community pool, you know, things like that. So the grocery store.
Nice.
So yeah.
Oh, I love it. All
and
right.
You know,
got some forward motion there.
We have no job, so
well.
So we need job before that can all be finalized, and we can still go forward, trusting the universe to send the right job. So, you know, thinking that maybe the right job is in Florida, where, you know, Dave can travel and see his friend. And, you know, who knows?
Yep. Yes. And there is a question that I want to pose. I'm playing in an interesting question this week. So
Awesome.
Here's the question. If you had a genie right now and you had 3 wishes, what would they be? So my answer was, I would want the universe to provide whatever it is that everyone that I loved and knew and everyone that they loved and knew had lives that they loved, that just lit them up. And the second wish would be that they have heart, eyes, and ears open to hearing the access to the actions to take. Like, you know, the universe could provide, but we've got to be open to hearing it and being with it. And my third wish would be that I would give the wish back to the genie, because look, the genie has been granting wishes forever, and he's seen all the wishes, and whatever he chooses to do with that wish, I'm going to give the genie back the wish to do whatever it is that he's been dying to wish. Because, you know, he's been dying to wish something, grant some sort of wish. So I would give it back to the genie.
It's pretty awesome. All right. Well, let us know in the comments. Please subscribe if you haven't, and share us with anybody that you think might enjoy hanging out with us once a week. And thank you. Thank you for being here with us. We'd love to hear from you as we explore this whole authentic, heart-centered podcast thing that we're doing.
Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Marjorie. I love you, my friend.